Alright, we're back with another manga drawing lesson. I'm going to just jump in here and start working on this one. We got a figure in motion. Miki running at top speed from the right side of the page to the left side of the page. But what's going to happen with this one, kind of interestingly, is I'm going to use the computer after I've completed this to flip it around so that she's running from the left to the right. That idea came from my editor. She said, you know, she's running away from something that we just showed in the comic. I won't tell you what, of course. You'll have to wait till this book comes out. But since my book will read from left to right in the Western style, I'm not doing one of these Japanese style books, it will have that effect of her really running away, literally, on the page if we flip this around. So that's something I'll be doing. Let me talk a little bit about the hand as I'm drawing here. This is one of my favorite hands to draw, in a way, is the hand that is facing away from you, because you don't have to do all those details. You just sort of suggest the knuckles. Yeah, drawing hands like this one over here, you can see, was considerably more work, although a clenched fist is not as bad as some other things that people, you know, that you have to draw when you have to draw a hand. Her wardrobe has changed from when I originally drew this. I thought she was going to be having a scarf around her neck, and I decided, because I got two books, kind of two cold weather books, autumn, the one I'm working on now, and then after that, winter. I thought, Mark, you know, she's got plenty of time later on to be buried underneath scarves and parkas and all that junk, so let's let her wear a little lighter clothing for now. And speaking of clothing, let me talk a little bit about the wrinkles, you know, drawing wrinkles on clothing. It's a real challenge, and it requires, you know, just years of practice and sort of focusing on how does clothing work when it's on the human body. What forces are pulling it off to one side or another. And it's just a matter of sort of practice and instinct, and you may be able to find some books that teach you a little bit about how to draw clothing. You can see here that I just imagined that if she were running like this, the cloth would be pulling in these sorts of directions across her body, basically it's trial and error, I suppose. At first you put a line down and you're like, no, that just doesn't seem to be suggesting the real motion of the clothing, what the clothing would really do in that situation. And so long as you're using a erasable pencil like this one, you're in good shape. Once I feel more confident about where the lines are supposed to be, that's when I pull out the final black pencil and start going into final line art. And I think I'm going to do that right now, actually. Pull out my Prismacolor and start going in with final lines. Now let me show you something here. This is absolutely crucial for drawing lines well. Not the pencil sharpener. What is crucial is getting the natural pivot point of your wrist. Okay, if I'm going to draw a curved line, I've got to be using the natural pivot point of my wrist rather than coming over here and trying to draw the line like this, which is really hard because you're fighting against that natural pivot point of your wrist. You're always going to be better off working with it. So pay careful attention to that, and you will be in better shape than me, in a sense, because you will be able to move the paper around. Me, I've got this video camera here, so I can't do that. I'm moving myself around. But every time, notice, every time I want to do a curved line, I move my hand over so as to make full use of the natural pivoting motion of my wrist. I almost never am trying to go like this. You know, the hand just can't do that. Not very gracefully. So I'm moving all the way over to try to get this line here on her elbow. Even though it's just curved a little, you know, it's almost like a straight line. But if it's got even the slightest curve, that's where you want to move your hand. You know, maybe to the opposite side, I guess it would have to be. so that you are making use of that. And I'm even going to move my whole body over here so that when I do this line, I'm using that natural pivoting motion of the wrist. Now here's another thing that I learned back in college from my old teacher David Small, and I'm sure he learned it from somebody else, is that when you're doing shading, the lines that you're doing with the pencil should always be suggesting the shape of the arm. Okay, so now I'm imagining, and here I'm doing this, and I'm not going to do the real line, but I'm imagining that the lines will be going like that. So, of course, I'm going to have to, and I think this time, just to go a little easy on myself, I'm going to move the paper, forgive me folks, and make full use of that pivoting motion to make lines that are sort of delineating the shape of her arm. And then, almost subconsciously, people viewing this picture, they see those lines, and those lines help to convey the sort of 3D quality of that arm. Okay, now, of course, in my case, I'm always adding more stuff in Photoshop in the computer later on, but you still want to start by having those lines following the natural shape of the body, suggesting the shape of the body. Now down here I imagine that this sort of long sweater is going to kind of get all bunched up, which it tends to do, if you look at people, and especially since she's running so fast. So I'm going to make a whole bunch of lines down here to suggest that those wrinkles kind of gathering and almost getting knotted up there. And then I'm using the little frilled thing here to shoot off to the back. All of these things trying to convey how fast she's running. Yeah, the clothing you can see, especially in a scene like this, can be a very big part of conveying speed and motion and so forth. If you've got the clothing looking like it's just sort of hanging straight down off her body, that's going to really slow down that feeling of motion that you're trying to create. I'm even going to pull in another line here. See how I'm doing this? Just to maybe get a further suggestion of speed as she's running along. And, it's all trial and error. I'm going to try. Am I going too far here? Is that too many lines? I may go and sort of pull that back a little bit. As long as you're using an erasable pencil, there's no harm with trying out some clothing lines, and if they're not working, you just erase and try something different. I'm going to try to get some shading here underneath this arm, and maybe a little more shading over here. Let me just go ahead and do this sort of sweater part here, and see if I can get some sort of shading on that side of the arm. All of these things, you're just trying to create a sense of depth. At least I am in this style of illustration. I'll go ahead and get the top of the shoulder in there. But I think we've maybe got enough of this picture for now. I will be back with more videos like this in the future. Hey, keep in mind we got Miki Falls in the stores. Just came out this past Tuesday. I hope you will keep an eye out for it, either in the bookstores or online. And thanks again for watching my videos. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to talk about. I'll be right back soon with a new one, hopefully within the next few days. All right, bye.